Previously on the Leaky Bucket Podcast.
So it's like, what is the most likely outcome, and what's the best case, and what's the worst case scenario? I was bullied so bad, like I didn't really know if I could walk home that day. No matter how hard anything gets in my life, I'm like, there's always something that I can pull on. It taught me a lot about people and about what society thinks you should do and fit in. I decided to write to the CEO of one of the biggest supermarkets up north. It's called Booths, if you've heard of it, and told him how much I hated their ready meal section. And decided that I wanted to write a whole management report about how they can make more money if they did certain things in it, and he actually let me do it. There's very little support. That no one spoke about mental health back then at all. Fire that's never gone.
Hi there, and welcome to the Leaky Bucket Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Morgan, and this is the financial performance podcast for entrepreneurs looking to get a better understanding of their numbers, to plug the leaks in their business, and to move from surviving to thriving. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Leaky Bucket Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking to you all about the dangers of emotional decision-making in business. Now, I want to be really clear here. I'm not saying that emotions are bad. Not at all. Right? Emotions are great. But an emotional decision from heightened when you've maybe got a fire maybe that you really need to put out within the business, making a decision that way is really, really not good. So I want to be clear. Emotions are something that we've all got running around all the time. And actually, realistically, they're there to help us. They're there to help us spot danger. They're there to help us make connections. So I'm no way saying that our emotions are bad. However, let's give a situation, right? Rolling right along, you've sorted out you're paying your various bills and all of that. You paid yourself. You went and splashed out on a bit of a holiday, and then all of a sudden comes along a surprise VAT bill. Now I say surprise because it wasn't really a surprise. Like, you should have known, but you didn't. So it's a surprise, yeah? Now, it's easy here to just react emotionally and go, oh my God, haven't got the money. I'm a terrible boss. I should never have gone on holiday. I shouldn't have done all these things. I should have put money aside. And like that, you can just fire into absolute panic mode and maybe take a really poor interest, like high interest loan, or pay on the company credit card and not have any real way of paying it off. Okay. And in that situation, there probably isn't major things you can do to make a better decision. So how could you change that process? Well, this comes back to putting in controls and systems to be able to make decisions from a place of logic. So let's rewind a little while. And let's go that actually what you've done is you've managed to get all your bookkeeping and everything all up to date and under control. So every day it gets updated. Now, the fact that it's updated every day, that means you just have that bit more of control. You have a bit more sense of everything that's going on. And you can feel those slight little changes or whatever. If suddenly there's a query to go, oh, what was this from 3 days ago because we still haven't had a receipt come through, you're pretty much going to know about it. Whereas actually, if I asked you today, what was that thing from 3 months ago, it might be a little bit more of an issue. So with bookkeeping everything up to date, we've then got a cash flow forecast. That cash flow forecast ideally should run for at least 3 months, 13 weeks. If you go further, great, but I probably wouldn't go much shorter. You need to be able to run for that 3-month period. Now, in that cash flow forecast, when you're making that decision to pay yourself that little bit extra, what you can do is you can look at your cash flow forecast and go, where's likely to happen? And then you can see, hang on, I can't take that holiday based on the current performance of the business because I don't have the cash. So now you start to make a decision from a position of logic, not a position of fear or an emotional reaction. Now, with that all in place, you can find that you can plan so much better. You'll end up with far better results as you're testing your performance and how you're moving towards it. And overall, you don't end up with this situation where you end up damaging the performance of your business. You end up damaging your mental health and your state because you fight the one fire, but now realistically you put it out by going, I put it on a credit card. But then you've got another fire to put out to go, how do I pay off a credit card? And then, the interest is so much, that's killing the profits. And now I can't afford to pay myself properly next month and so on. So it comes back down to, how do you put in plans, systems, and controls? Right? This is sweet and simple and to the point. It doesn't need to be complex. Keep all the bookkeeping and everything up to date. Create a cash flow forecast for the next 3 months at least. Be clear then on what cash is required when. And that's an important part, when. Don't over-egg the income and don't underplay the costs. Right? If anything, do the opposite. Underplay when the income's likely to come in and how much. And then overplay what the costs are likely to be. And this just gives you that great opportunity to be able to make those decisions from a position of logic, from control, where you've got time to consider all the various options that you're looking at, and not one that comes from an emotional reaction to a potentially painful situation. Because we're here to make great decisions, yeah? We're here to run great businesses that really deliver for us personally. When you start making emotional decisions based on reactions to emotional events, then you really, really damage that. Why don't you guys reach out to me on LinkedIn and just let me know what are some key emotional decisions that you've made in your business that you probably could have prevented. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to be able to see what types of decisions people are making and how that's working and how that's playing for you. I guarantee those decisions probably could have been better planned out and you would have stood a better chance of making a better decision. Thanks so much for listening, and let's stick to making logical, not emotional decisions. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Leaky Bucket Podcast. I'd love it if you could help spread the message by clicking subscribe and leaving a review. Also, please do reach out to me on LinkedIn and let me know your thoughts on this episode. You can also find more info and links in the show notes below. See you next time. Welcome, dear listeners. We are thrilled to announce our future episodes of the Leaky Bucket Podcast. Uncovering the truth behind entrepreneurship, a behind-the-scenes look at the challenges and the triumphs of business owners. Now, as you already know, our goal is to provide you with the best possible insights, tips, and strategies to help you grow and thrive in your business. But until now, we've done this by interviewing some of the best minds in small business. But now we're going to be taking it a step further. We will be sharing our very own behind-the-scenes stories, struggles, and successes. And in this series, we're going to dive into the nitty-gritty of how we started our business, the obstacles that we faced along the way, and the systems, the processes, and the team that we've developed in order to overcome them. We'll share our experiences and lessons learned, giving you a real-world view of what it takes to build a successful business. And not only that, but we will provide a real insight into the challenges and the successes happening right now as we live. And we might be accountants, but this is not a podcast about accounting. This is about owning a business, the resilience required to overcome constant challenges, and how to take you and your business to new levels you've never been to. We know running a business can be tough, but it's also rewarding. And our hope is that by sharing our stories, we can help you to navigate the challenges and to also ensure that you celebrate the victories. So, tune in to the Leaky Bucket Podcast and join us on this exciting journey into uncovering the truth behind entrepreneurship. A real behind-the-scenes look at the challenges and triumphs of business owners. We can't wait to share our insights with you. Coming next week on the Leaky Bucket Podcast.
For us, during life pre sort of strategic planning, work life didn't stop at 5:30 for us. It carried on, and it could go for hours and hours beyond that. And that wasn't what we wanted. That wasn't what we set out to achieve, but it's what we built. But now we're in a position where there are little periods of time where that's a challenge, and we do have some extra bits we need to do. But in the majority, that doesn't happen.